We're gonna start asking this here all the time, but something we want to do is an icebreaker, but something that just sets the table. You're a father. When it comes to kids and they talk to you about hip hop, and they ask you, what is hip hop? Is there a certain album that you would give your kid? What album would that be?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to me, hip hop is just like a moment. You always remember like the key moments that are critical. You always remember like timestamps, like where you were. So for me, I would say that album that I would give my son Cameron would be, would be 3, because the first albums that someone ever gifted me, my sister Joan, older sister, she may not remember this, but we were living on 5th Street in Wilmington, over on the west side, and she purchased me Nas's album, I Am. She purchased me LL Cool J, The GOAT, and she purchased me the Mill, All Money Is Legal album from The Wall at Christiana Mall.
Wildin'.
Yeah. So that's how long ago that was, when the movie theater was right when you came in the mall at Christiana Mall. So my sister bought that for me. I don't know I can't remember if it was like for my birthday or if it was for the holidays, but yeah, I remember that vividly. Those were the first 3, and they were on tape, cassette tape, right? So that meant everything to me that my sister would be willing to like invest in me in that way and thought that much of me. And it was obviously a great gift, and I've been doing music and listening to this music ever since.
Politic and P, aka P.Dot57. Yes, glad you're here. So I'll just jump right into it, man. We're all back into the city. You came back in here not just with the label, but with yourself to record new music. But you're here with some new stuff, man. Talk to me about what's something on your radar, and also what's in the catalog recently, man. You're back in the city to talk about some dope stuff. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, so about 2 years ago, I decided to create a music-based platform label called VBS Music Group. And so what we wanted to do is do something, take a different approach to how labels are typically formulated. Typically you get an artist and you just probably push them and then get a bunch of other artists. What we wanted to do is just curate projects.
Okay.
And just focus on the recording aspect, but also the marketing and promotional tools and figuring out the best strategies for each artist, because we know each artist that we work with has a different demographic, has a different fan base. So 2 years ago, I decided to do that. And so the artist that I've been working with currently, I'm working with an artist named Diggs, who has a project out right now on all platforms. That project, he has 2 projects actually. One is called The Son of Curtis, and then the other one is called The Toxic Tape, which just came out in February. I'm working with MG Mizzy, incredible artist. He's coming out with a solo project, and he's also working on a collaborative project with Diggs called Red Pill, Blue Pill, kind of encapsulating off of their Blockwork video called The Matrix. And then I'm actually dropping my 24th project in June.
Hold up.
Yeah, 24th project.
It's a lot. And more importantly, consistency. It seems very currency-esque. Consistency is king. So 24, what does this mean to you? That's a sacred number in the baseball. That's a very Griffey number.
Yeah, this is a Griffey number. This is a Griffey album. This is a Kobe album, but this album is special to me. It's called Stop Talking to Me. And the reason why I actually decided to name the project that was because one day, in all honesty, one of my homeboys from high school named Joe, he has like a gym. And he always does these clips on Instagram about people always telling him this and that about their weight. And
shout out to the Todds.
Yeah, shout out to my bro Joe Todd. And at the end of it, he always say, stop talking to me. You know what I mean? Just like, and I love that, like, because I feel like people always have things to say, but not really saying nothing at all. And so I'm really big on words. So I wanted to make sure when people hear this, it's like nothing else to say. Like, just stop talking to me. Just listen to the album, and it's going to speak volumes. And the people we have on the album is incredible. So that's what I'm really looking forward to most. People are going to really hear some of the dopest artists in the industry, as well as some of the up-and-coming artists in the Delaware area. Freeway on the album. We got Ricky Hyde from Griselda and Black Soprano family on the album. So,
I want to explore that because the biggest thing here is, we'll talk Griselda. I'll lead into that. 24 is a Griffey number. That is a sports number. And I really would love to get into some of the collaborations or people that are on your radar that were part of this project, because one of the biggest things that I think people don't really know is the relatability about some of the music that comes from Wilmington. I know there's a very strong history with soul roots. We have a very strong history with hip hop, but also in between that, soul samples. I'd love to hear what type of artist that's related to what you were talking about, and how that shows that there is a connection between what we do here and then, outside of the tri-state.
Yeah, I mean, like we have a lot of great features on this album. Obviously, we have my team. We have Diggs on there. We have MG, Mizzy. We have Nabri, who's one of our new artists, R&B singer, wonderful vocalist. But then we have some other folks. We have like Chuck 50 on the projects. My first time working with him. Very excited for people to hear that.
Right.
We have Ant Badant, who's incredible. We got 36 Lad. I mean, we got some real like spitters and heavy hitters on this project. And then we got Philadelphia Freeway on the album, which is probably the most special record to me that I've ever done.
Let's talk about why that is officially
Yes.
special, because I already know, just being from Wilmington, what is a freeway anything cosign? What does that mean? It's crazy. So we can go back to that, but finish the roster of the people.
Yeah, and then we got Ricky Hyde from BSF and Griselda out of Buffalo on the album. So we definitely got some dope artists on here, man. I'm very, very proud of this project. I promise you.
Griselda's that signature sound right now. The
Yes, sir.
Revisiting that boom bap, but also it's just that it's layered, production wise. So I'm curious to hear about that connection with. But you and Freeway have a very intimate connection outside of just the bars.
Yes.
And the love for the bars. Talk to me about how there was synergy with not just the collaboration, but anything outside of that, and why is that makes sense, not for you as an artist, but then also you being as a brother from Wilmington, Delaware.
Yeah, being from Wilmington, Delaware, obviously we grew up, roughly 30 minutes away from Philadelphia. So hearing State Property, hearing Freeway in high school, that was pretty much the soundtrack to our high school years.
Yes.
And
every bubble coat, everything baggy, everything. Yes, it was.
Yes.
It was a time.
Yes, it was a moment for us. And then I can even go back as far as my junior year with one of my best friends, Mar Chuck. We would walk into Howard High every day. We would play All Right by Freeway, like every day.
Right.
To us, we was gonna make sure.
Shout out to Rel, one of the most underrated singers.
Very much so.
Very much underrated. Like the Dave Chappelle's doppelganger.
Yeah. Rel, Alan Anthony, all those folks, they were really dope artists back then that didn't always maybe get the credit or the notoriety, shall I say. But having Freeway on the album and everything, and obviously the way it kind of came about was really organic in nature. Obviously, I'm a person currently battling end-stage renal failure. I'm on dialysis 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, hours each time. And so I work every day as an assistant principal. And after my days are up and I get out of work, I go to dialysis from 4 to 8. Freeway is obviously this amazing hip hop artist, but he's also someone who went through the same thing and was able to receive a kidney transplant back in 2019. And so about a week ago, The Gift of Life, who we both were ambassadors for, and my wife got together to surprise me. And he came and had a surprise visit to my school in Trenton.
Wow.
Which was incredible. We got to meet, and it's been on ever since. And he heard my record. I created a record, out of bass with an engineer named Rick Roman called The Gift of Life, which is my signature song about the brand that I'm an ambassador for. And Free loved the record, and he got on it. And, the rest is history. And we've been pretty much in contact ever since, and we're going to continue to do things together between VBS and Freedom Thinkers Academy, and just working together and continuing to navigate, but also to advocate for people who are going through these things and the people who have lost folks who didn't make it through transplantation or didn't get a chance to get a transplant because they, unfortunately, passed away. So we're going to continue to do the work to educate folks about the renal system, and to educate folks, mainly black and brown folks, who this is impacting the most. Just like right now, and if you look up the data, it'll show and depict that about 6,000 people in our area are in need of kidneys, and about 41% of them are African American. Another 14% are Latino. So we're talking about 56% of the people waiting on the transplant list being people who look like us. And only 13% of the actual people registered to be donors that look like us. So we gotta figure out something There's a correlation there, and this is why so many people are waiting on the list for so long. I've been on the list 4 years, and the average wait time in our region is 4 to 6 years to get a transplant.
I want to keep it hip hop, but I would like to speak about that process and the impact it's had on not only just your family, but also as you being an assistant principal in Trenton. And I say that to you, educators, I have educators in my family, but I'm very aware of the relationship for an assistant principal when it comes to kids. You know, you're not dealing with subjects, you're dealing with personalities, people that have community problems that may be in the same space as individual, but things that are systemic. So I would like to hear you talk about your day-to-day and balancing that out with being a parent to, you know, some kids for 8 hours in a day, but then also coming home to your family. What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting dynamic. For one, I always tell people I have 451 kids, right? I have my one at home, and then I have the 450 students that I'm responsible for every day. The beauty of my job is that I relate to our kids. Similar to them, I grew up in a low-income community, non-conducive to academic success. So I'm the first generation of my family to ever go to college, complete a graduate program, do any of those type of things. And now I have nephews and a son coming after me, right? So the students I get to serve every day kind of come from those same background, same social experiences. But you're right, there's a different lens that I have, right? When I was in the classroom, there was more of a intimate relationship, right? Because I'm with them every day in that capacity, teaching them. But from the assistant principal lens, it's more about customer service and community advocacy and working with the families and delegating responsibilities, and also giving teachers feedback so that they understand why I think we need to use the data that we see to make informed decisions, because that's what I feel like is best for our kids. So, and then going home and being a family man, it's really cool because, you know, my wife is an educator as well. She's a social worker, a school social worker, and my son is a second grader. So once I get home, you know, we kind of like try to like keep work at work, and really focus on the family thing. Obviously, we ask each other how our days went, but the home practice is just on how do we become a better blended family with my ex-wife? How do we work with my son and make sure he's getting all the supports and services he needs so that he can be the best student that he can be? And then what are we putting around him, like that real saying of like, it takes a village. Who are the people we are enabling him to be ingratiated with and meet and be around? So those are the things we focus on at home, and just trying to do the best we can as a married couple and enjoy each other's time in that space, because, you know, it's a difference between a house and a home.
I do want to go back to the bars though, because what was there any feedback or any advice that Freeway gave you, you know, after hearing how you were, you know, hearing your words? Because, you know, David Banner at one point said, and I think it's really important, you know, because he's an activist, he's active in the community when it talks to just HBCUs, you know, just self-empowerment, all these things. But he said, you can have whatever message you want, but the shit still got to slap. You know what I mean? So I'd be curious if there was any words like, yo, this was just hot, or it's just like, I like your perspective, because that might be something that any nuggets or jewels that we could take some from there.
Yeah, I mean, the main feedback was just, he thought it was like a really interesting perspective of sharing my story. Because I could easily just like, I do a bunch of guest speaking, right?
Right.
And I tell people my story all the time. But when you put it in audio form, right, of written expression, it's something more like interpersonal, right, that people get out of it. So he loved that. You know, he loved the fact that I really created a song about my journey as a person who was just like seemingly normal to now having to be on dialysis, to now have to be on a transplant list, right, to now have to promote organ donation in our community, right, and educate people who have these myths and things like that. So when he heard the record, he just loved that I did that, you know, because I hadn't been really done. Nobody was really doing that. And he's someone who's a musician who in the music has kind of talked about the kidney failure.
Right.
But this was like a full song dedicated to that. And his verse is incredible. And I learned some things from his verse that I didn't know within the community that we're in. So that was even more, you know, beneficial for me to learn that from him and his verse. So yeah, the advice he gave was just to continue to be your authentic self, especially within the music, because these days people are buying into people, you know? it's not just about like what you're saying, it's also how you say it, how you present it to people. And so I want people to know my story. I want people to know where I come from, and I want people to know like that part of my life, like that part is open, right? The vulnerability in that record, I think, is something else that he greatly related to and wanted to do. So I'm just grateful that it was able to happen, and I can like tell all my boys like I got a record with a legend, you know.
Listen, man, look, bro, like there's certain things, there's certain notches on belts. You know, if you're doing interviews, as someone who's, you know, I've had my fair share, but I've always enjoyed the ones that I admire. And Freeway was top of the list. So being able to have that is like, damn, you know, that's like meeting Smokey Robinson for me or something. Where it's just like, bro, you weren't there. You got to see that. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Bro.
A few more questions, and then we'll wrap it up because I know you know the boys out there cooking. The 24th album. What should be some of the immediate takeaways for, you know, the fan that is not familiar with the brand of P.Dot57? You know, because again, you know, we got some motion. We have some artists that you're not only bridging the gap between new artists, but also new Delaware and Wilmington artists. You're getting some heavy hitters from Griselda and, you know, from SP Royalty with Freeway. You know, this is barred up lyrical royalty. Now you're moving into that space for the city. What does that feel like? But then also energy-wise, you want to put that into this album, you know, first take.
I just think when people hear this album, man, they should understand, like, number one, you getting what you always get. You're gonna get bars. Like, bars is important. Like, content matters and context matters, right? For me. And then just the opportunity to like be creative. I feel like I really challenged myself here. I have some real like unique different flows that I tried. I didn't want to be stale, so I wanted to do some different things. And then just the collaborations. Like, this album is like, I tell people like this album is like my Jay-Z Dynasty album. Right, I have like 13 features on it between all the records, and it was people that I really wanted to work with. And I have a friend, Frank Cook, it's my guy for like ever, and he says, "Yo, P, like you really like manifested this project. Like you got everybody on here that you wanted. Like the only person I'm missing that I want is like Nas. If I could get that, I would die today. Like I'd be happy.
Hey, we don't ask for much.
Yeah, like that would be like my dream like moment in rap and in life, like to get a record with Nas. But other than that, like I'm really fulfilled, man. I got everything I asked for and then some on this project. And so, yeah, the people who aren't familiar, man, they're gonna learn that like Delaware has artists who are incredible, who can stand next to anybody. And then they're gonna learn that like the wordplay, the creativity, and then the vulnerability. This is a very vulnerable and personal album for sure, for me, in so many ways. So I share a lot. And I definitely think it's something that people can really appreciate once they get their ears to it. So I'm looking forward to it, and we're gonna put this out in June. You go upstairs.
Are you good?
Right here.
It's all good. You good? You good? It's fine. It's fine. That's why we do it in the studio, man. You never know. It's all good.
You good?
Yeah.
Stop Talking to Me is the name of the new album. It's like I said, it's like my Dynasty album. I feel like we have a lot of features, some old, some new to people, but just the opportunity to work with so many great artists is what I'm most pleased about. Like I said, I'm very fulfilled. I have 13 features on this project, and everybody on here is incredible. And just getting to work with legends, up and coming artists that are dope, artists that are established within the game, like that stuff really matters to me. And like, I'm very blessed and fortunate with this project. So I know when people get a chance to hear this, they're gonna be very appreciative and probably surprised a little bit of how it sounds sonically, but I think it takes you on a very, very good journey, and it's really presented in a way where it's like authentic to myself, and it's really taking you to like where I am now and where I've come from over these last 3 years, I would say.
Bro, RAMG Studios has been working together for like the past 10 plus years. So what does it feel like to bring this 24 project here and, you know, bringing it back to the city? I'm now here.
It's an amazing feeling. You know, RAMG has been a real pillar in the community. It's given artists a place to call home, me included. Making the album here with great engineering and just great leadership under my brother Chris has just been, you know, everything I expected and more. Just the atmosphere, you know, it just feels like home. It's easy to get to, you know, and it's easy to come here and record and just get the work done. It's a business-like approach when I come here. I really treat this like the office, right? As much as I love coming and hanging out, I really love recording and making things sound tight and making things sound great. So yeah, it's just been an amazing experience, and we're looking forward to continue to get to more. I don't know how many more projects we're going to do as far as a solo artist, but I do know that we're going to be here for a very long time as far as my team and recording here and getting things done.
Legacy, legacy, legacy. Oh man, thank you for repeating that. So, you know, we're not doing an audit on the city, but I'll tell you what, I remember growing up, it wasn't just like Power 99, it was 101.7, it was 100.3. All in the tri-state, you know, supporting artists. But since I've been back, it feels like there's been like a disconnect from like bringing in not just local talent, but amplifying, you know, new music, you know, and also acts that have been doing it from, you know, the past year and 50 years in hip hop that are pioneers, but then also who's next up. There's you, who's been part of the Guard, you know, for the past 15 plus. There's some new dudes that have been in the space or whatever. But collectively, what do you think of the overall state of music here, not just in Delaware, but within, you know, within the city of Wilmington? I'd be curious, you know, to do that, because you've hit a few checklists, a few notches on your belt that a lot of people can't say they've had. And, you know, but I think your story shows that it's attainable. So
I think there are a lot of great artists, a lot of talented younger artists that are coming up, and a lot of artists who are like in my generation, so to speak, as the elder statesman kind of. What I would love to see is whatever issues that there are amongst the generations, that we somehow formulate a way to sit down and really break those barriers. The younger kids, man, they really are going at each other, man, and I don't want to see that.
Well, in what context?
We have artists throughout the city just back and forth, dissing each other, talking about doing harm to each other, and that's not what I want our city to be predicated on. I would love to see those artists being able to come together, and to me, like I said, as an elder statesman, I would be willing to sit down with those artists and kind of talk to them about that, because I don't want folks to come here to record and then they don't feel like necessarily safe, or they don't feel okay because they don't know who's looking for them, or if they got a problem when they go home or whatever. I want them to be able to record with a clear conscience. So I want to be one of those older brothers that can come in and have those real world conversations with them, because none of this is worth losing, man. Music is such an impactful, you know, thing, and this culture that we preserve, you know, there's a place for everyone, and so I would like to see that, and then I would just like to see more of us working together. We still have this mindset, I feel like, of I want to be the first, instead of just like, let's just do our best, right? To drive the initiatives, right? Which is to get our music heard and to get people respecting what we do. I think that needs to be the primary focus, instead of like who's first.